Click the links to join the channel here over at subscribe now over at us. Thanks everyone over there. So Neil Gaiman, another Weinstein gets busted. Karma has been insane for the left wing ever since all this stuff started. Hey, we're gonna clean up Hollywood. You look at them like, so it's like you think a bunch of far right wing Republicans are running Hollywood. You're gonna get very far left wing Clinton donors, Obama donors, people who are tied in with the DNC. And like, oh, we never thought of that. It's like, what were you thinking? So karma has come to bite them in the tail a little bit, and this is taking a look at all his canceled projects, which I think is basically everything that has his name attached to it. So this is the male feminist who turns out to actually hate and abuse women. Wow, shocking. Who saw that coming? It happens all the freaking time. And and if you're a woman, by now you should be looking at male feminists, and that should be your warning sign. These guys love to get on social media and virtue signal about women, but at the same time, it turns out that they're the biggest abusers of women. And there's been a bunch of people in these far left-wing comic book writers and artists at Marvel and DC who have been busted over the years through the history of Comicsgate. These people who come out and they attack the Comicsgate crowd, and then it comes out a few months later like, oh yeah, these guys are predators. It's like, So male feminist itself should be their red flag. I mean, it should be more than a red flag. It should be a disqualifier for women. But they've been so brainwashed by globalist media, especially since Trump 2016. They think that Trump is Satan, and anyone vaguely to the right is a demon. As people on social media will show these dating apps. I can't imagine what it's like to date these days, about what these far left wing women want, and so like they're left with left wing soy boys, and you look at these left wing soy boys, and even as a male, I can look at them and go like, yeah, there's no way a woman's gonna get attracted to these man bun type of guys who are so sensitive. So their options are these Weinstein types who abuse them or become bitter, angry cat ladies, and then they blame the right wing for how evil left wing soy boys are. You should just cut them out of your dating world and just admit that you need to date right-wing guys. Anyway, so Neil Gaiman, the degenerate, is pretty much done in Hollywood. But since he's in the super left-wing virtue signaling protected class, he's got defenders who are online, and they're suddenly saying that, well, maybe some women are lying whores, and due process is needed, and everyone just needs to slow down and not get carried away. And in the left wing's defense, I will say that there's some of those, but there's also a lot of people who are left wingers who are pointing out the hypocrisy and going, you can't do that. If you believe in this, believe victims and believe all women. It's like you have to just use that as your dogma, and they're admitting that if he was a right wing openly, I don't know who's right wing in Hollywood who's still in Hollywood, like a Mel Gibson type. I mean, there's just so few of them that you can point to Mel Gibson who's in his 70s as like the one hanger on in Hollywood who's still making movies, but he's making movies because he's making movies. He's not connected to the big Hollywood machine. And so even they're being honest about it, saying like, yeah, you can't make special exceptions when left wingers are accused. And in this case, it's been by 5 chicks. So you're pretty much done in Hollywood, unless it's like if it's some girl accusing Trump or the right wing judge. We had that whole debacle about. Like, did anyone believe that chick with the vocal fry? She's talking about some party that they went to in the 70s or 80s or something like that. And I mean, you hear a few hours of that testimony, you should just be looking around like, this is embarrassing to see like what the left will get up to. It's like, well, didn't you go after a president? Like you spent like 7 years and how many billions of dollars trying to get a president? Anyway, so for the right wing, it can get the most insane accusations from mentally ill women, and a lot of these women are. And the globalist media parasites say that, oh, they're credibly accused. This is something I noticed years ago. Who's that gay guy at CNN? The short haircut, gray hair. Though he looks kind of young for gray hair. I want to say Vanderbilt, but I know that's the family name. Anderson Cooper is, I think, his name. A gay guy at CNN. Well, one gay guy actually got fired, the black guy, and he's doing, I don't know what he's doing, like man on the street interview type of stuff. Oh, and then who's the fat guy? The short, bald, fat guy they hired back Looks like George Costanza at CNN, which is bizarre. And then, I mean, there's who's that guy who was enjoying himself on a like Eichenwald or something? Some guy was enjoying himself on a Zoom call. And you think like, oh, you should just go. I would just go to an island and hide out for the rest of my days. And nope, they hired him back. What level of clown world are we on where you have to bring back Brian Seltzer and that self-pleasuring Zoom guy? Call. Anyway, so the credibly accused thing, right? They say that all the time, but when it's against their team, he'll switch and he'll go, oh, well, this is unverified. In fact, that Vanderbilt guy, Cooper guy, got busted a few times saying things are not verified, and then somebody who was interviewing going like, yeah, CNN verified it last week, and it's like you're just being partisan. Obviously CNN, MSNBC is insane. Because the media is the DNC. There's not even the appearance of being fair and impartial. That went out the window 50 years ago. I mean, the media was always left wing. Like even 50 years ago, it was left wing, but it wasn't what it is now after 2016 TDS. Anyway, yes, people deserve due process, even people we don't like this scumbag or Jonathan Majors or P. Diddy. I don't know what he was involved in. And people do lie about everything, but the problem with these male feminists and woke cat ladies is that they don't give people the benefit of the doubt. Due process is only for their team. So according to the left wing's own rules, Neil Gaiman is guilty because they have no core beliefs. And Gaiman that's going to come across on the, the voice to text is probably something else, is a toxic left-winger who's someone in Hollywood and they like his stories and comic books and streaming shows and everything he's connected to. And he's got a Terry Pratchett book that was made into some kind of streaming show. And, you know, it sucks that all the people who were involved in his projects are now suddenly, those things are just not going to go forward because they're coomers and consumers. So they try to find ways to defend him, and they have to eventually do the Hillary Clinton back in the 90s, where she goes, you could drag a 20 through a trailer park. I mean, think what if you remember that quote, also her Super Predators quote, what happened to that? Think what a horrible thing that is to say you could drag a 20 through a trailer park and just substitute ghetto for it and say it. It's like, would you say that? Well, to be honest, maybe in the 90s they would have, because they were the Dixiecrats. They had the stars and bars. And it's like, no, the left and the right, when you're in the political sphere, stand for nothing. And I will admit that it's just wings of the same bird. If you, like, even people on the right are kind of more, I think, waking up to that. Not a whole lot of enthusiasm for MAGA these days. And the only enthusiasm is people look at Kamala Harris and they go, oh, she's literally insane. Like, actually, she has a screw loose. Anyway, so they're the believe women and believe the victims crowd. So what happened to that? It just means that that you believe it if it can be used to hurt the right, and they're pretty much on its face. And like I said, to their credit, some women on the left were calling that kind of stuff out. And the thing is, the answer is not to go after someone based on the accusation. The answer is, we need to give everyone due process, to treat allegations as merely allegations. These are the alleged victims and these are the accused. And go, that's so horrible to say to the victim. Well, that's the thing, is you don't know if they're a victim or not, because unfortunately people lie about everything, even the most abhorrent stuff. Oh, this dog's going to come in and start barking at me, son of a bitch. I'm dog sitting. Anyway, so the reality is that there are more sex abuser types on the left, and it was a problem as soon as they came up with the Pound Me Too at the Alyssa Milano, because almost all of these Weinstein Dershowitz types are far left wing, Hollywood, Clinton, Oprah, DNC, Podesta, Wiener. They're all tied in together because it's in same with the media. And Alyssa Milano had a great idea. She goes, we're going to get these people out of Hollywood. But she never considered the optics of scoring goals against your own team, so they just stopped it. There was Me Too, and then there was something else, and it just ended because they were all these people were. It was egg on their face. There was even a congressman, Franks or something, who did something to a military personnel. It's like, in his mind, how far in an echo chamber, how above the law do you have to do? He was taking a picture where he was pretending to molest a servicewoman, and like, what's the color of the sky in your world where you think that's okay, or why the other soldiers just didn't just kick the hell out of you right then and there? It's absolutely bizarre. But You know, a lot of these people are above the law. Anyway, so there are. It turns out there's a lot of sex abusers in writing, comics, anything that has a convention available to it, and the voice actor types. And there's a lot of sport effing, which is really not. We're not really made for that. And I know how cool it sounds when you're in your 20s. It's kind of like high investment R and K strategy versus low investment type of stuff. So these left wing artist types are, a lot of them are legitimate scumbags, but it's also a question of women getting their feelings hurt. You know, the things where regret doesn't mean a law was broken, because you're not supposed to go to a man's hotel room. You're supposed to know better. If you're, women used to have escorts, or what do you call it, supervisors or something, for a reason. The other thing is, I look at these left wing comic guys who are like kind of the awkward kids growing up, who don't, I think, have a healthy relationship with women, because they haven't had enough practice. But they get out of their teen years and they gain fame as an artist, and then all this money comes into them, and suddenly they're at a convention and the center of attention, and these women are making themselves available, and these guys just, it turns out there's a core, they're just scumbags. And I look at these Neil Gaiman types, and they look like disgusting creeps. Where if they didn't have fame as an artist, women would avoid them. Neil Gaiman and those others, a bunch of Marvel and DC artists and writers who got busted. A lot of them, you look at them, they look like degenerates. And, there's an adage that physiognomy is real. A lot of that turns out to be accurate. And I don't know if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It might be. And the women have to be honest with themselves. Why exactly are they making themselves available to these disgusting guys? With Weinstein, well, in a lot of the cases, he was actually threatening them, because he was a huge person at Miramax. And some of the women, to be fair, were sort of scumbags as well. Both things can be true. It's with Hollywood, or with these convention stuff, a lot of it can be that, like, everyone involved is a scumbag, but that still doesn't. You still have the right to say no to things, and to consent to some things, and not to others, which is the allegations against him. But women should know better. It's like, you're not a kid. With one of these guys, they were banging him because they were thinking that he was going to help them in the industry. It's like, well, what does that make you exactly? So there's a lot of scumbags to go around, and I'm sure Neil Gaiman is no different. He wouldn't give us due process, though, if we were accused, or anyone on the right was accused. So I'm sure he wouldn't want it himself, right? That's how it works. Where the accusation is the conclusion, which was weird, because if that was true, you wouldn't actually need a court for a finding of fact. It would just be whoever's first in time is first in right, which sounds like witch trials, but that's the world that the left allegedly wants. Where, that was the whole issue with Title IX back in the 90s. And what happened after that was the guys were just going and saying, "Oh, these women abused us," and it's like, it turned out to be first in time, first in right, or it was mutual case of allegations. It's like, the whole thing is nonsense, because once you get around due process, it's just going to be a witch trial where you go, yeah, you believe women. But a woman is simply a word that can apply to men and women, so it's meaningless. And they go, you have one joke. Hold up a mirror. Okay, 2 jokes. So, don't go to a man's hotel room. Don't be a woman working in a family's house as a, whatever she was, an au pair or something like that. If the wife is going to be away, it's like, that is a hard and fast rule. You just don't go to a guy's house to take care of the kids or whatever if the wife is not there. That's that's insane. Oh, but it's modern times. Yeah, men and men, or women are women. So, if you're, what's that? It's like people have gotten so modern that they forgot common sense. You can look at these guys. Neil Gaiman, he looks like a parasite, and a bunch of those other guys who were in Marvel and DC and were getting busted. I did videos about them. Like, you look at them, and these smarmy little wormy douchebags, and it's like, if I was a woman looking at these, my radar would be pinging. But the one thing women are famous for is not having good radar. And the thing is, if they're male feminists, that makes things absolutely worse. And I said in the other video, if you're a young guy, the best thing you can do with women is be yourself. Don't try to be what you think they want you to be, and just be upfront. Like, oh, feminism, total cancer. Like, you can still get those chicks if you're upfront about it, as long as you say it kind of in a nice way. Like, you don't insult them. You just make them laugh about how stupid feminism is, and if they get with you, eventually they'll come to adopt your viewpoints because you're right and they're wrong. I mean, usually that's the case with them. With men in general, but it's definitely the case with right-wing men in general. I mean, in men, and you'll like these left-wing chicks will eventually be right-wing chicks, which is why the machine wants single women, because single women marry the government by way of the taxpayer dollar. They want all these socialist programs, and single women are going to be very left-wing, which is why we got to get these people together. Where was I going with this? So a lot of these male feminists, they just hate women. Or they think that because of all their virtue signaling, they think women owe them something, and the right wing Hugo Boss guys are just kind of wired differently. I'm pulling a lot of punches on this video. I'm not saying they're children, but you know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys. I hope no women made it to the end of this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.